Turn to your next blank page in your journal, put today's date at the top, and your title is Lesson 8-3, Area of Triangles and Trapezoids. Remember from our last lesson that area is how many square units it takes to fill the inside of a polygon. So the first thing we need to do is find our formulas. So let's start with the triangle. Notice here's what I have drawn. I have drawn a parallelogram, and in order to get a triangle, I divided it in half. So half of a parallelogram is a triangle. So we learned in class that the formula for area of a parallelogram is base times height. But since a triangle is only half of a parallelogram, I have to divide it by 2. Notice that I did not put base times height divided by 2. That's not how you write the formula. The correct way to write the formula is base times height, use a fraction bar to show division, divided by 2. And remember, we divide by 2 because a triangle is half of a parallelogram. Our next polygon is a trapezoid. And remember that a trapezoid has exactly two pair of parallel sides. Those two parallel sides have special names. They're called the bases. Notice the top and the bottom are the two sides that are parallel in this trapezoid. So they are the bases. I'm going to call one of them B1 or base 1, and I'm going to call the other one base 2. It does not matter which one you call base 1 or which one you call base 2. Now notice it's not a big number 1 or a big number 2, it's a subscript. It's kind of like an exponent is up high, a subscript is down low. So if you will look at your formula chart for area of a trapezoid, it tells us that A equals, in parentheses, B1 plus B2, and then outside the parentheses it has an H. Remember that if I have parentheses in a number or parentheses in a variable, that means times, and then I divide by 2. So the formula for area of a trapezoid is base 1 plus base 2, then times the height where it's standing up tall and straight, and then divide by 2. So let's practice. Number 1 says find the area of the triangle. So first thing I need to do is write down my formula for area of a triangle. So my formula chart tells me the formula is area equals base times height divided by 2. So my base is going across the bottom. So my base is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units long. And remember, my height is where it's standing up tall and straight at this right angle here. Here's that right angle. So my height is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My height is 8 units. So now I can plug in my numbers. Instead of saying base times height, I'm going to say 5 times 8. Don't forget to divide by 2. So remember your order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Aunt Sally's going to tell me to multiply 5 times 8 first, which is 40. Don't forget to bring over your divided by 2. So 40 divided by 2 is 20. So the area of my triangle is 20 units squared. So if I were to count all of the squares inside my triangle, I would count 20 whole squares. Okay, let's look at question number 2. It says find the area of the triangle. So first I'm going to start with my formula. My formula for area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. Notice this time my triangle is flipped upside down. Here is my right angle still, So my base and height are going to meet or touch at this right angle. So just because this is towards the top doesn't mean it can't be the base, because I could always flip my triangle around. So the base of my triangle is 3 units. My height is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. So now let's plug into my formula. Instead of saying base times height divided by 2, I'm going to say 3 times 6 divided by 2. I'm going to multiply. 3 times 6, 18. Don't forget to divide by 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So the area of my triangle is 9 units squared. Let's look at number 3. It says find the area of the triangle. Please sketch the picture of this triangle into your journal and label the base and the height. Okay, you should have labeled the base as 6 and the height where it's standing up tall and straight as 4, because here's my right angle, and remember my base and height always meet at that right angle. So what is our formula we're going to use to find the area of a triangle? You're correct. Base times height divided by 2. Next I'm going to plug in my numbers. Instead of saying base times height, I'm going to say 6 times 4. Don't forget to divide by 2. That's the most common mistake people make, is forget to divide by 2. Then I multiply. 6 times 4, 24. 24 divided by 2 is 12. So the area of my triangle is 12 inches squared. Now notice I did not use 7 or 8 as my height, because in order to find the height has to be standing up tall and straight. 7 isn't standing up tall and straight, and the side that's 8 inches is also not standing up tall and straight. So 7 and 8 cannot be the height. 4 had to be the height because it's standing up tall and straight. Number 4 says Ari cut out a banner in the shape of a triangle. What is the area of the banner? Please hit pause, work it in your journal. When you're ready to continue, hit play to check your answer. Okay, let's check your answer. You should have said that the base was 12 and the height where it's standing up tall and straight is 6. So your formula of area of a triangle is A equals base times height divided by 2. When you plug in your base times height, that's 12 times 6 divided by 2. 12 times 6 is 72. Then I have to divide by 2. So I'm going to come to the margin and divide. 2 divides into 7 3 times. That's 6 with 1 left over. Bring down the 2. 2 goes into 12 6 times with none left over. So the area of Ari's banner is 36 inches squared. Don't forget to label your answer. Hit pause and work number 5 on your own. When you're finished, hit play again to check your work. Okay, question number 5. Rachel decides to purchase a triangular pennant to hang on her bedroom wall as a souvenir of the baseball game she attended. If the base of the pennant is 9 inches, here's my base, and the height is 25 inches, how many square inches of her wall will be covered by the pennant? Since it was asking me to find square inches, I knew that they were wanting me to find area. So I used my formula, base times height divided by 2. So base times height, 9 times 25 divided by 2. And when I saw the 25, I thought of quarters. So I know that 9 quarters would be 225 divided by 2. Notice when I divided two different ways. The first time I took my remainder and wrote it as a fraction, so 112.5. The second time I added a decimal, brought up my decimal and added a 0 to bring down to get a decimal for an answer. You may write your answer either as a fraction or as a decimal, is your choice. So the area of the pennant was 112.5 or 112 5/10 square inches. Now let's try number 6. Number 6, if you'll notice, we're no longer working with triangles, we're working with a trapezoid. So I'm going to label it as a trapezoid. Please draw and label the trapezoid in your journal. So first, let's write our formula for area of a trapezoid. This is our long formula. Area equals, in parentheses, base 1 plus base 2 times height divided by 2. Notice on your formula chart it doesn't put the dot for times, but I'm putting it there to help you remember that means to multiply. So first thing let's label our bases and our height. Remember that your bases are the two sides that are parallel. So in this example, my two sides that are parallel are the top and bottom. So I'm going to call this base 1, I'm going to call this base 2, and my height is where it's standing up tall and straight, which in this case is my dotted line. So my height is going to be 28 millimeters. So now let's plug into our formula. In parentheses, I'm going to put base 1 plus base 2, so 15 plus 35 goes in parentheses. Then I'm going to multiply times the height, so times 28, and then divide by 2. Here's where I'm going to have to use my order of operations again. Aunt Sally tells me to solve what's in parentheses first. So 15 plus 35. I'm going to go to my margin and add 3, 4, 5. That's 50. So I have 50 times 28 divided by 2. So Aunt Sally tells me to multiply next. 50 times 28. Remember my shortcut for multiplying that a number that ends in a 0? I'm going to multiply 28 times 5, and then I'll add my 0 to the end. So 28 times 5. 5 times 8 is 40. Carry the 4. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 4 is 14. I'm going to add that 0 back on. So that gives me 1,400. So now I have 1,400. Don't forget to divide by 2. So half of 1,400 is 700. So the area of my trapezoid is 700. Don't forget to label it millimeters squared. Okay, let's practice with another trapezoid. Remember that my formula for area of a trapezoid is in parentheses base 1 plus base 2 times height, and then divided by 2. So first thing we need to do is label our base and our height. And remember, our bases are our two lines that are parallel. So in this trapezoid, our two lines that are parallel are the top and bottom again. So I'm going to label one of them base 1 and the other base 2. And my height is where it's standing up tall and straight. Notice the line that's 16 is not standing up tall and straight. The line that is 12 is not standing up tall and straight. But the line that is 10 is standing up tall and straight. So that's going to be our height. So now let's plug our numbers into our formula. So A equals, in parentheses, base 1 is 6, plus base 2 is 20, times the height, which is 10, and then don't forget to divide by 2. So Aunt Sally tells me to do parentheses first, so 6 plus 20 is 26, times 10 divided by 2. So I need to multiply next. 26 times 10, that's 260. 260 divided by 2. I can go to the margin if I need to do my division. 2 goes into 2 once, with none left over. Bring down the 6. 2 goes into 6 3 times, with none left over. Bring down the 0. 2 goes into 0, 0. So 260 divided by 2 is 130. So the area of my trapezoid is 130 centimeters squared. Let's try one more together before you practice on your own. I still have a trapezoid, so the first thing I'm going to do is write down my formula. Area of a trapezoid is in parentheses base 1 plus base 2 times height divided by 2. So first thing I'm going to do is find the two bases, and remember the bases are the two sides that are parallel. So this time, which two sides are parallel? You're right, the left and the right. So those are going to be my bases. I'm going to call one of them base 1. I'm going to call the other one base 2. And remember, my height has to meet my bases at a right angle. Here's my right angle where it meets the bases. If it helps you, turn your paper to look. Here are the bases, so the height is standing up tall and straight. So the height is 6. I would like for you to hit pause, finish this one on your own. When you're ready to check it, you may hit play again. Okay, let's check your work. When you plugged into your formula, in parentheses, base 1 plus base 2, you should have had 13 plus 8 times the height is 6 and divided by 2. Aunt Sally tells me to do parentheses first and add. So 13 plus 8 is 21 times the 6 divided by 2. You should have multiplied next. 21 times 6. That's 126. So 126. Don't forget to divide by 2. 2 goes into 12 6 times, with none left over. Bring down the 6. 2 goes into 6 3 times, with none left over. So you should have found the area of the trapezoid to be 63 inches squared. If you got it right, give yourself a smiley face. Turn to the next blank page in your journal. Fold your journal or draw your piece of paper, divide it into 8 equal boxes. Put your title Lesson 8-3 Independent Practice at the top. Solve questions 1 through 4. When you're finished, hit play again and answer questions 5 through 8.